Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sick of This Pa or Sick of This Show. Sorry. Let's start that again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sick of This Show. It's Nick Paro. I'm your host and poet. Today is Poetry Recap of the Week or Poetry of the Week. And give me a moment while I start ensuring that everything's up and running on Substack as well. Good morning, everyone, on my Substack Live. I've got you in the chat now. It's good to see everyone. Good to have everyone here. Just going to give anyone a couple moments to come in and also pull up some of the poems from this week. And it's been a bit of a busy week. I didn't do as much writing this week as I had done before, mostly due to my son breaking his arm. And so I started doing something a little bit creative for the first part of the week, as I wanted to begin collecting all my poems into a book. Good morning, Caro. Good morning. I want to make sure I say it. Cern. I hope I don't get your name too wrong. Sunny. And so, good morning, everyone. Thank you. My son broke his arm last week. So I've also opened up soft C, like Srin or Crin. It's obviously not an American English name. I love it. I'm assuming somewhere in the Netherlands or Denmark. Crin. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like getting names right, especially people who are with us. It's a French name. Oh, very cool. My family's half French, so I appreciate the French names, and I'm not one to hate on the French, especially too because the French First Lady is suing Candace Owens for being a bigot, and calling her, accusing her of being something that she's not, to make hate towards trans people. And I think it's good on the French president's wife to fight back. So, hell yeah, good job, French people. You guys are fucking killing it. Vive la France. Well, in the U.S. at this point, vive la revolution, but peacefully and patriotically. If we're gonna have a revolution, let's do it peacefully and patriotically. So for those of you who are joining, good morning. Been doing a little monologuing here at the very beginning. Sorry about starting just a little late as well. Had some appointments this morning for my kiddos, not son related, so he's okay. So my son broke his arm last week. He's doing great. Unfortunate thing is we're out of insurance at the moment. I'm building this as a small business, and it's really hard to get insurance, and it's very, very expensive. And so to help, I've been asking if anyone please could become a paid subscriber as well. Helps build the network over the long run, gets us into the algorithm better, gets more of you into the audience, builds out the poetry. So the big thing I do for anyone who's new, I'm a poet. As it says on my name, I do political, social, and patriotic poetry. Social, I also include like medical and mental health. My poetry focuses obviously on my lived experiences. And right now I'm doing a major set on fibromyalgia. So one of the things I wanted to do was put it all together into a book, wrapping it back into what I was talking about at the beginning is, so I've started a diary of poetry, chapter one, and um, it is pretty much all of last week's poems that I read, which are the fibromyalgia poems. However, I did write two new ones for it, for this chapter, so I wanted to read those. They're shorter, they're both haikus. I wanted to read those and also reread Dawning of the Light, which is the one I wrote last weekend for my son, but it also fits really well into the Diary of Poetry, chapter one, for a chronic journey, which is what I'm calling it. So it covers my fibromyalgia chronic journey. I suffer from fibro, I have chronic migraines, chronic neuropathy. It's a pain in the ass, to be totally honest. A lot of it's a huge pain in the ass. So, um, but I do what I can, and I'm trying to get by as best I can through it. So um, that's okay. We live with what we got, and we find a way. So one of the ways I've been finding a way is poetry. Um, and so what I'll do is I'll grab the links for y'all for the chat. And I'll drop them in. So I'm going to start with Dawning of the Light, which is the one that I wrote on Saturday morning last week, or this past Saturday after my son broke his arm. On Thursday and Friday, I asked for help from the Substack community for folks to become paid subscribers, to donate to my Venmo, Cash App, whatever I have in there. And the outpouring of love was incredible. And I feel really blessed to have been able to be the recipient of that love. And I could feel it. And I'm not a religious person. I am spiritual. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in any deities. I just believe in that we're all connected together somehow, and we are intertwined. I mean, we're a species of people that are connected together somehow. We're tribal. We want to be with each other. We want to love and live from each other. There's a lot we learn and are a part of because of each other. Like, it's just who we are, at least in my belief. And I guess you'd call me people might call me a humanist. I believe in humans and people. And so I asked for some support, and people really, really gave back. And I was woken up by my son before the dawn, and I got to watch it over an hour or two. I think it was about, or however long it was. It felt like an hour or two. Could have been 20 minutes. But over that time, I watched the sun creep from behind the before dawn, and then into dawn, and watch the sky change and the colors change and the clouds move across. And as I describe in the afterwards of the poem itself, it felt like I was looking at the brushstrokes of a Bob Ross painting, and it gave that happy little trees and happy little clouds feeling of just serenity and gentleness. And so I'm going to read this one, and then, which is Dawning of the Light, and then I'll move on to the other two poems from this week, which are Rolling Fog, and then yesterday's poem, which is Songs of Dusk. And both of those are haikus, and they're shorter, but they're fun. And then if anyone has any questions in the chat while we're going to, please. Thank you. Thanks, Corinne. I appreciate that. If you have any questions while we're going through, please drop them in the chat. I'll see them, and I love responding to the engagement too. So let me put that one up again, which is our first poem, Dawning of the Light. Awakened in the dawning of the light, gazing at stars still shining softly bright, casting gently down twinkling sighs of love, seeing a new day sweep in from above. Painted soft clouds streaking across the sky, brushing pinks and grays, a new day is nigh, shading orange, purple, strokes of indigo too, softly violet trails off into a day so new, layered yellows and reds overlapping in waves, drops of gray trailing off into notes on the staves, conducting songs of life as the night retreats, pulsing chirps collide into cascading beats, showering down into glowing rays of gold, echoing grateful hope into a world so bold. That was Dawning of the Light. Um, and sorry for some of the, if there are any weird, awkward pauses in that. In beginning and ending the poems, I wrap them also a little bit so that I can cut them after into smaller clips. So apologies if it sounds or looks a little awkward when I do it for to start and enter. But that was Dawning of the Light. That was the poem that I wrote after receiving an outpouring of love and support from the community. I'm still continuing to ask for support, not only just for my son and for us to be able to pay down medical bills and hospital bills, but also because it really does help the publication and it helps us grow long term. I'd love to do this full time. Um, and this is, I'm building a small business out of this. I'm also working with Lawrence Winterman and Frederick Pogue. We co-founded Banner and Backbone, which is our more civic based platform. And so I'd appreciate if y'all came and subscribed and become paid subscribers and help me build this up for a full-time thing. But any subscribe helps, and the shares and the likes and the restacks all help. All the engagement is incredible, especially in the live chat. So I love what you guys are doing. I love that you all come in and you talk and you discuss with me. And thanks, Corinne. I do a this one is, so I'll explain this one a little bit in terms of poetic shape. It's a sonnet, mostly based off of a Shakespearean style sonnet, and a traditional Shakespearean sonnet would be 14 lines. It's three sets of stanzas of 4 with a stanza of 2 at the end, traditionally in iambic pentameter, which is the ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum rhythm. However, I really like this one. I don't do it the full way through, and I don't think I do it in much of the place for this one. Is actually, no, I won't even go for this one. So this one I actually did slightly different than a standard like Shakespearean sonnet would be, where it would be, if you were to look at the structure of the poem, it would be an A B A B, and then B C B C, then D E D E, then F F. Is if you want to break it down into how it would be organized. I instead did A A B B instead of A B A B, because it drove more, and it just gave me a little bit more forward movement. So it also just fit. I didn't really think about this one too much overall, other than, I need to make sure that I have 10. I didn't even make it a sonnet at first. I actually added some syllables in some places so that I could have a more sonnet structure in this one. And I'm glad I did, because it did flow really well. And thank you. Thank you for that, Corinne. But it helped me flow and into each line on this one. And then I don't do a ton of editing on a lot of my poems once I write them, other than to make sure that the words don't trip me up too much, or that they fit rhythmically. because my background is really in music. I'm a trained classical musician with a degree in music theory and composition. Never got into it professionally. I did audio recording and sound engineering a lot when I was in college, but I composed music, and um, I actually used a couple of my grandfather's poems that he wrote to my grandma that I am going to at some point read on one of the shows too. Um, and oh, that's awesome. I still have a piano at home. I played the saxophone. My primary instrument was my voice. And I trained voice lessons for years. And I ended up in a degree, or I ended up in software engineering for a long time. And that it fits really well with what I enjoy doing the most, which is building and connecting things. And so poetry is sort of, for me, a way to build and connect my emotions into a tangible way that I can actually express, because I have a hard time expressing my emotions all the time in constructive ways. And um, I think this was a really good way um, to let me express it out. So that was Dawning of the Light. Um, and I'm going to move on now and all of the poems, I'll make sure to do links to the chapter that I've started putting together. Is a link to all the poems from today in the show notes. So everyone has the ability to quick link to them and like and share if you want to. And so next we're going to move into Rolling Fog. And I'll read this one first, and then we'll discuss it. But this one is, so I'm going to take a quick pause for a second, read the title and the subtitle, and then read the poem, repeat the title, and then we'll talk about it. Good morning, Susan. So, Rolling Fog, a chronic journey number 8. A fog rolling through, darkly heavy, cloak of mist, damp, sluggish gray cloud. That was a rolling fog. So that one was Rolling Fog, which is actually the podcast episode for today that I put out this morning. Like I said, I'm behind on a couple episodes, and I'm not forcing myself to do a new poem every day. Yeah, let me share the link to this one. And so that's the link to the poem itself. The podcast is on my page. That one I love when people listen to the podcast, obviously, because it helps and it builds up the episodes, and it gives me and I do a little bit more. I read out the explanatory in the show notes, I guess, for the poems basically now as the podcast episodes. It helps me get my thoughts out too more concisely, but also more logically when I say them. And so I'm using them in partnership with each other. And so if you like both, please support both. Give them a like and a share. And comments and engagements are great too. But for a Rolling Fog, getting back into it. Sorry, I go on tangents. So a Rolling Fog is about fibro fog. And for those who have fibro, you know what that means. For those who don't, it's fairly similar to the lines of the haiku this morning, which is, so a fog rolling through. It feels like in your brain, or for me anyways, I get a migraine that goes pretty much down, face mask, every day. What it feels like is it pulls back and it's a mist and a fog just covering and going through like you would see in a field, like you would see out in a farm field in the middle of a late summer morning, heading into fall when it's starting to cool off at night and it's damp and then it warms up first thing in the morning and you have all that fog. However, it's also like fog with like a storm cloud over it, so it's dark fog and it's heavy and it's that cloak of mist, almost like um, the Stephen King novel where you get go into that mist and you don't ever come out. And that's where the thoughts go some days. And that's sometimes why I do some awkward pauses, maybe, um, and I I look up a lot and I have to close my eyes at times to think about it. Is I lose half my thoughts, but I also lose thoughts like mid conversation if I get interrupted now, in a really bad way, like not like I used to ever before, and it's just like poof gone, and that really sucks. That is the damp grayish sluggish gray cloud piece. The last line is it's got that like heavy feel to it. This fits into one of the previous poems in the series, which is an unseen swamp, which is where it feels like I'm dragging my feet because I have that sort of like the MS style pressure on my lower legs, where it feels like you're wearing tube socks all the time, or like compression tube socks all the time, even though it's not compressed. Um, Very weird feeling, but it feels like you're in a swamp. And so the damp, sluggish gray clouds are almost like a swamp cloud of the mind. And instead of dragging your feet, it's dragging your mind. And it's just holds you in place. Um, and so this was this one was Rolling Fog, and what ended up being today's episode on the podcast, um, and is the first of the haiku set um, within a chronic journey. Um, which is then followed by the second of our haikus, which is Songs of Dusk, which I will drop the link in also. And I'm seeing the restacks and shares during this. I really appreciate those. Uh, I I really appreciate the support, especially while we're doing this live. I love being able to build up who's here, getting to see everybody come in and join us and listen to some poetry. We have 59 people right now. It's good to get away from politics and the shit that is going on in life, and remember that we have lives that we have to care about, and we have to have lives that we want to live. And so, one of the things, like I said, this is a mental health journey for me as much as it is a written journey. Um, Hold on one second, y'all. I'm going to pause my sound for a second. My son's asking a question. Hey, y'all. I'm back. Nothing serious. Um, and thank you. I appreciate it, Corinne, about the readings. Kimmy, I saw you jump in there too. Welcome. Good morning. Um, and so uh, this final one that we're going to read today of the week is Songs of Dusk. And like I was saying, this one fits into our chronic journey. It's our second haiku within the series, and is one of the good nights. It's one of the good ones, as I say, where the pain isn't gone, but the pain is muted, or it's in a way that you're not paying attention to it. Um, and so I hope you all enjoy this one. I'm going to do my pause and then we'll get back into it. Songs of Dusk, a chronic journey number. Ooh, did I screw that up? Hold on. We're going to start that over. I want to make sure I didn't get those numbers wrong. Oh no. I even screwed up the numbering. Man, this is what happens. This is what happens on things. This is supposed to be number 9, and I decided it was going to be number 8, and it's number. Okay, I'm going to update that just so that I have it. Before I forget, while I have you here, thank you for coming. This is an intervention. We're intervening in your day today to provide you with some wonderful poetry and a break from the normal. Happy trees and happy songs. Okay, back into it. Songs of Dusk, a chronic journey number 9. Crescendoing chirps, staccato clicks, thumping cloak. Ooh. Let's read the words right. All right. Songs of Dusk, a chronic journey number 9. Crescendoing chirps, staccato clicks, thumping croaks, pluck on wings of grass. That was Songs of Dusk. Let me make sure I put that one in there. So this one was that is so far the latest in a chronic journey. So is the 9th one, the second of our haiku, and it was one that I wrote while I was just sitting on my back patio. And I was watching the sun go down and just listening to the sounds. I have a vegetable garden in my backyard. And it's overgrown right now. So it's past season for what we had in there for veggies. And we live in the idea that vegetable gardens or gardens in general are meant to be wild. Kind of. I love like beautiful grass gardens and wild grass gardens and stuff like that. But we let our vegetable garden die on its own. Like when we pull off rotten fruit or vegetables and stuff, but we let the actual stalks of the plants die. So it gets overgrown, and so it's filled with crickets and cicadas and grasshoppers, and right next to us we have a retention pond, and so we get bullfrogs and toads, and so it's like this little chorus of tiny musicians coming out every night, who either bite me with their and suck my blood, and then go sing away, or just have fun and sing their night. And it's enjoyable. And I love just getting to hang out outside in my backyard and just listen to nature. That's one of the things I do at night. Pretty much every night is I just sit outside for a while. Yeah, give it back to nature, Caro. I totally agree. Like, and thank you, Chester. I appreciate that. Mary, I also saw you in there too. Like, it's just healing to sit out and listen to and sharing the land, and being a part of it rather than trying to take from it. It's so much more fun just to sit there, and I get to be a part of the land and a part of nature and see and like hear what's going on, and feel like I'm included rather than taking it over. um, or taking away from it, and that's really nice. It's a really nice feeling um, to not feel like you're taking away from something. Um, and it's also really nice because I can process the day. I like to write poetry either first thing in the morning or um, last thing in the day, last thing at night before I go to bed. It's almost journaling in a lot of ways for me right now, um, and so it's a lot of fun to be able to get my emotions out. My wife, I think, appreciates it because I'm not using her as an emotional like torrent. Like I'm not just throwing my emotions at her. I'm not spewing information at her anymore. I'm actually constructively putting things into words and saying them in ways that are meaningful rather than just a torrent of unhelpful shit. Um, so for those who don't do therapy, this is a great therapy tool. This is a great way to like relax and feel good. Um, and um, and give yourself a way to process. Actually, I'm going to do another poem because it's my show and I can do what I want. And you guys are here for the poetry, so not just to hear me talk, not just for my lovely voice, but also for the poems themselves. And this is one I have not done. I don't think I've done the podcast episode yet for it. However, if I haven't, I need to. And I'm gonna put this one into the chat. This one is called Bullets Now Shot. I think you can guess where the inspiration for this one came from. There was another needless set of deaths of children at a school and or church. I mean, they were in a church school, I think, in the middle of prayer. 2 children died or were murdered, and a ton of others were injured. And we have a gun problem and a gun fetishization in this country that is just, it's an epidemic that's killing children, and like that's the problem. Like we have a gun fetishization, and we have a right-wing culture that promotes it as part of it, their identity, and not like, I grew up with guns as they're for hunting, and they're a tool, and they're a tool for killing. Like that is their sole purpose. They're for hunting, and they're for defending your home. If somebody comes there and you point a gun at someone, you're going to kill them. Like that is the purpose of that tool. It is a weapon. That's why in the military you call them weapons. Like they are weapons. They're meant to kill people. That's all they're for. That's all the type of weapon that was used was for. It was a weapon. It was a weapon of war that has been commercialized to become a weapon of our streets. And it's not a coincidence that it's been so heavily pushed towards the folks who are desperate, tend to be right-wing at the moment, but they're very desperate, and they're very easy to manipulate because they're desperate. I've been there. Like you're easy to manipulate or be manipulated. I never fell into the right-wing trap, but I know I can see why people do. Like I'm a veteran. I came back not the same I was from before war. I can see why people fall into it. I can see why people stay in it. And it's really sad. And why am I talking about this? Because the person who shot the weapon was identified as trans, and that was the end of the story for the right wing. Like that was it. They didn't care about any other piece of information other than that person was identified as trans, which also they were identified as possibly detransitioning. They never built a community around themselves in the first place. Their parent was the one who changed their name. There was a lot that is suspicious about their identity, and I'm saying this because I know trans people and I know the communities that they build around each other. I know that they like you're not alone, and this person did not act accordingly to any like customary process of coming out in any way. Like I identify as bi. Like it took me years and years and years and years and only until a couple weeks ago to say it out loud on a show. Like you build communities up around you and you build networks around you to support you. And this individual, all they cared about was that they had identified as trans. And I think that's trash that the right wing did that. I think it's trash that then they are calling them demons and they're calling trans using religious warfare and religious wording against them, and they're othering them. And I think it's fucking trash and garbage. And so I wrote my poem before I even knew who the person was, and I still stand by my poem exactly because it's not about the person who shot those kids. That person needed help. That person needed help that they weren't getting. That had been ripped away from them, that was never offered to them, that was beaten out of them because they grew up in that same church, and maybe that church taught them to hate themselves. And maybe that church did so much damage that this person had a life of trauma. And just as I don't talk about the other shooters, like I never talk about shooters when it comes to gun violence. It's about the victims. It's just like every other thing. Like it's just like Epstein yesterday and the victims and survivors coming out and speaking. Like we have their stories. We need to stop re-traumatizing the victims, and go after actual true motives and true root causes. And the root cause of all of this is we have a gun fetishization in this country and an epidemic in this country that we have allowed children to be murdered in school instead of solving the fucking problem. Like I have 2 kids who go to public schools, and I'm afraid every day that something is going to happen. I live in a red state. I live in Arkansas, and my state does not have the best history with guns or gun violence. I'm afraid about my kids more and more each day because of nut jobs and people who are othering others and forcing people into places where that they have no choice. Or I'm afraid of all the connecting factor that everybody else in the media, except for some those of us on the progressive side of the world, are starting to talk about, is there's one factor that connects all of these shooters, and we need to talk about them other than the AR-15s that they use, is they're white. Like they look like me. They scare people because we're white. White people are scary to everyone else. Like white men, we're scary as fuck to everyone else, and we need to fix that. Like, and it doesn't take every other community doing it for us. It takes me, and it takes my friends. It takes Fred Pogue. It takes Lawrence Winterman. It takes Jacob Summers. It takes Walter Ryan, Shane Urick, all of us men who are doing this on the Banner and Backbone team. It takes the Find Out podcast team. It takes building a manosphere that doesn't fucking suck. Like, I want a manosphere that is Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers again. Like, that was what I grew up on, what manhood could look like. Like, tell me that Mr. Rogers wasn't manly. Like, fight me. Like, fucking fight me that Mr. Rogers wasn't a manly man. Like, he was manly as fuck. He went on TV and he broke traditions and norms and he put his feet into a pool with a black man on TV and said, fucking take me off air. Do it. Didn't use those words, but that's what he did. He broke the rules to normalize, to help people, to extend his sphere of influence. And I'm hoping that's what this is me extending my sphere of influence in a way that doesn't suck. To be totally frank, is I want to be part of something that doesn't suck. I want to be a part of something that people want to listen to and enjoy. And there's 76 of you who are here, 75 minus myself. But everyone who's here right now, thank you. Like, thank you for helping me build kindness is manliness, or kindliness is manliness. Kindliness is a manly trait. Like, protecting others means you protect their feelings and their emotions too. Like, protecting isn't just this, like, oh, I'm a caveman bullshit. Like, I can be strong and protect my family too. Just ask. Like, did these MAGA chuds, I went to a combat zone. Like, I know what it's like to be in the army. Like, fucking fight me. Come at me, bro. I'll beat your ass. I'm more manly than you. You might physically outmatch me, but I'm more manly than you because I take care of my family. Because I'm married for 10 years happily, and my wife loves me and likes me. Not just loves me, but my wife likes me. My wife and I are best friends. Are you best friends with your wife, MAGA Chud? I fucking bet not. So come at me. You ain't manly. Manly to have your best friend as your spouse. Yeah. You know why? Because you made friends with them. You actually did something and you figured out how to be a person. Like, that's manly, dude. So thank you everyone for being here with me. A little bit of a fun tangent. And I know we're at the top of the hour and I haven't read the poem yet, but I'm going to. I'm going to end us on our poem, which is Bullets Now Shot, which is my statement back at those children dying. And like I said, I'm afraid for my kids, and I'm okay to admit that. So here is Now Shot. Shooting that gun, something never undone. Undoing lives, never to let them grow. Growing now done for those who are too young. Younglings no more, forever now they know. Knowing that two will never walk back in. Instead, those left alive are set to mourn. Mourning losses of two who were just kin. Kindred souls now stolen as hearts are torn. Tearing apart the worlds of all nearby. Bygone now are those carefree sunny days, a day of a days of grief where thoughts cannot deny, denial that the world is set ablaze, blazing so hot, one shot to spark the flame, bullets now shot, red hot, now primed to blame. And that was Bullets Now Shot. It apologies on the little bit of a slip of the tongue there in the middle. But I appreciate y'all, everyone, for joining today. I love the support, as I said. I appreciate the shares, the engagement throughout. You all are amazing. I appreciate you coming in and supporting and listening to the poetry. Robes, I'm sorry you missed it today, brother. Chester, thank you for the comments. I'd love to reach out again at some point and maybe have you on for a poetry reading if you're still here. I appreciate you and the support that you're providing too. I see your reshares and stacks and comments to everybody. And let me make sure I drop that poem into the chat. Corinne, thank you also coming. Pat, it was good to have you here, Corinne. Thank you. And everyone else who showed up. Please join me in half an hour. I will be back on the air with Lawrence Winterman and Jacob Summers for Knights of the Rainbow Table. We have a little bit of a play on wizardry going on in our world. Friday afternoons for Banner and Backbone is the Wizards Council with Frederick Poe, Lawrence Winterman, and myself. And so my friend Jacob Summers from the Army, good buddy of mine, Lawrence Winterman, also now a good friend of mine, we decided we did a three dicks, six balls, and 1,000 ideas show, basically. And we had so much fun. We wanted to come back and do it again because we're never running out of ideas and ridiculous things to say. And we couldn't decide on a name, so we came up with the Knights of the Rainbow Table. So I hope you guys come back at 11:30 and join us then. As well, please consider becoming a paid subscriber with me. Every paid subscription really helps, especially right now while we're going through medical bills, but it also really helps build the long-term survivability and growth of the network and publication. We just hit 100 paid subs on Sick of This Shit with Nick itself. So restacks are the retweets or the likes. It's the little circle after Robin. After the show is over, I'll in about half an hour. So after my next show, I'll put out the live recording with show notes, with links to all the poems, and then you can just share, restack, retweet, whatever, read the recycle button, basically, to let everybody know you love it, and share it with your friends, also, or even forward your emails that you get if you got an email chain. But yeah, your support is greatly appreciated. I can't do it without y'all. I'm so excited that we hit the 100 mark paid subscribers for Sick of This Shit with Nick itself. That's a huge milestone for the publication. We're just about at 3,000 overall subs. Help us get past that 3,000 number. To be honest, I didn't think I would get to 3,000 like ever. And we've done it in just over 2 months. Not even, I don't think. And it's amazing. And I cannot thank you all enough for the support so far. So yeah, I'll see y'all back in about 25 minutes when I'm on for Knights of the Rainbow Council with Lawrence Winterman and Jacob Summers. So have a great day, y'all, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks.